The Sunken Owls are a contingent of pre-Heresy Thousand Sun Space Marines whom are blessed by Tzeentch before the very burning of Prospero. Led by Heidegger the Spire Nubric, the Spire Owls are adorned with living fabric, designed with patterns, replete with rich culturally significant designs, harkening back to the development of Prospero, the founding of her governments, and the towering monuments to long-lost sorcerers. Their armour underneath their robes resembles their parent legion before the fall, with slight differences as dark maroon resembling dried blood covers the body of their combat suits, with a stark sea blue lining the trim of their pauldrons, belts and other regions. Their old symbols depicting the regal features of an owl next to an ankh still adorn their pauldrons. The helmets they bear resemble a large antenna with interlocking hexagonal grey bones binding its exteriors, with sharp hooks ascending the corners between each exterior panel, as it towers over the rest of their garments like a grey crag, or arcane spire standing atop a tapestry, a civilization. The shape and size of such grim constructs vary from warlock to warlock. Glowing rune symbols are etched into its crevices and corners, some known by Imperial librarians. Others draw reference to dead languages and libraries living within the warp. Sonorous chants detected emanating like distant electrical wave frequencies from mere blips on Imperial sector maps have been correlated to the comings and goings of this secretive Chaos Legion. Indeed, entire worlds may experience the phenomena known as the Hum, dubbed by Inquisitor Edgard Bannister. The phenomenon is harmless in itself, but serves as an unwelcome residue for the sorcerers value their secrecy. These chants are done innately, as in an act of fealty to their patron deity. These enigmatic warlocks have collectively ripped out their own tongues. Departing a singular body part from these enigmatic sorcerers, no matter how small, may mutate and spawn an entirely new creature, called a white snake. Unlike their brothers, their god would spur a different mutagenic consequence. The creatures spawned would attempt to rejoin the host like a virulent parasite, taking the form of pale white worms spewing ghastly, muddy black paste, its composition thick with microscopic organisms, moving as if with one purpose. Mounds perpetually dripping warm wet and obsidian hang from the back of its mouth, shrouded in lines of carnivorous teeth, too large and too unsightly to be justified in ordinary classifications of beasts. The sunken owls who fall victim to their former appendages will bloat in cancerous expanse like a ripe pig until their physiology collapses completely. This process happens within the span of 2 decades. Early months are plagued with unimaginable pain, as the warlock feels the microbial infestation wriggling through his flesh, creating vast capillary networks through realigned veins, arteries and muscle. The spine is also feasted upon, whilst also serving as a shelter for the creature's reproductive organs. Bone marrow is then hollowed out for their spawn. Gastric intestinal organs are atrophied, as the premna, omophagia and oolitic kidney lose their purpose, becoming reconfigured compartments capable of self-producing energy, albeit through swarms of microbial habitation. Using these adaptive appendages to feed the warlock's body, the instances forcibly trigger the Marine's mutation with their own transplants. After 10 years' time, the Susan membrane is introduced to a perpetual state of trauma as the warlock's mind crumbles, glimpsing in and out of states of suspended animation, until the mind is numbed of thought and the body's regenerative properties meld with the invasive instances. The Betcher's gland will soon mutate out of control, growing 10 times its size and centering itself near the core of the creature, its purpose redefined as the body becomes little more than solvent pus suppressed by armour by years 14 to 16, the corrosive gland pumping new non-corrosive substances throughout the whole. Finally, the victim turns into what has been titled as the Apep Organ, a sprawling eldritch sludge-like being with its progenoids morphed into a strange tool that is neither bone yet acts as an internal framework within its spongy structure. Neither vein nor artery, yet it pumps in twine with the former Betcher's gland, an elixir that the creature uses for blood. It will spend its life searching for strong warriors, yearning for pure strains of baseline human genetics in its suitors, to spread its aberrant gene seed. Pulsated cardiac rhythms can be heard by potential victims miles away, as the creature is psychically active at all times. If introduced to human populations, cults will form around it as if influenced by the creature or by some extension of the grander curse belonging to the satisfied dark god. Hungry members will greedily carve into the creature's form, ingesting its endless entrails like savoury meat. Ceremonial paddles of vivisection are granted to a priest designated by their god. Slowly entire populations become more brazen and bold in their outspoken advocacy of the new religion. Crude attempts at reenacting the transformation process in rendering ancient warriors into legionnaires of the Thousand Suns are performed. All participants play their role, from those receiving foe augmentations to the biomechanic organs belonging to their primarch, Magnus the Red, or a cultist of Luna after its pacification, distributing said matter. If the actor is lucky, he may only receive the discarded remains of fruit, rocks, instruments or objects nearby, or perhaps the organs of others, as they are all rammed into mismatching compartments dug by a nonsensical peer. If unlucky, the show will go on and he will live, a piece of the organ lodged inside him. Years are played out in mere days, the caricature of the aspirant kept alive as a grotesque half-open madman, mimicking the rigours of training it would take to become one of Magnus's sons. Crowds are smeared with the actor's blood and trace amounts of gelatin red as some will watch on from seated positions. Others stand and play necessary roles such as adepts switching cogs and analysing screens invisible. Exposed incisions are barely stapled together as they'll fly apart at a moment's notice. Stumbling actors may trip over obstacles in their way, such as their departed innards. The devotion to the role unbroken by any outside stimulus. And after every performance, the pallid zombie-like creatures remain alive until their role is complete. They are given names they should not know, aping godmen with little care. Morte ultima veritas, they will always chant at the end. Reenactments range on a scale of severity and widespread reach, as other memories associated with the Legion may be retold throughout these mortal actors. The most denigrating and insulting being an abridged version of the burning of Prospero, usually inducing the most casualties amongst the populace once the grandeur and festivities are over. The consumption of the false god's entrails correlate to the increase of these cruel plays amongst civic centres, marketplaces and opera houses. These imitations brought out nothing but bitter nostalgia and disgust for the Sunken Owls, as it was their mockery of their lineage at best, a brief subconscious image presented by the slumbering or broken psyche of the former Marine at worst. The Legion allowed for several plays, their scientific curiosity overriding the feelings of dishonour and sheer disgust welling up in them, before the final sacrilege was committed. Appalled, Heidegger Nubrick ordered the execution of all research test subjects, burning large congregations himself until the immediate area had nary a cinder left of its original inhabitants. Preventative measures were created by Heidegger as he created fabrics out of the hides of alien creatures, shown to him in his dreams, close to the worlds belonging to the Eye of Terror. He would weave sinew and process flesh with his mind through occultic ritual and pattern, and dress his brothers with them. It would ward off Tzeentch's gift of mutation should their brothers ever become dismembered, and their flesh would grow around the limb, blocking off the penetration attempts by the malformed worms using enchanted runes. This has led to the sorcerers outright avoiding melee combat for fear of their precautionary measures being torn asunder, leading to a contamination. Both instances of the Whitesnake and Apep Organ are bound in gargantuan pools, seeping with ethereal green, each a miniature oceanic body within their own right, held aboard their strike cruiser, the inspiring Kraken. Heidegger would invoke the image of a starless deep slumber within their collective hive mind. It would eliminate sensation and lingering nostalgia of a waking world. A song is played using wild drums and erratic flutes spun out of ethereal instruments forged by demon bone and warp fire, and they are played on constant intervals by hapless slaves while psychers sing an unending chorus, which in turn silently pacifies the creatures into an induced comatose state. For Heidegger Nubrick, it is a song of mourning, as if he were stuck perpetually awake, witnessing a death that would neither end his brothers, nor be rid of them, or him.